Greetings, everyone. Hey, I got a little addendum for you for the PS2 collection. All throughout the overview, I kept talking about ones that I'd picked up on PSN, PS2 re-releases that were playable on the PS3, as well as a handful of high-def upgraded PS2 games that are only available on PSN as digital downloads. They just haven't been released in physical form. So I thought, hey, to make it properly complete, we should probably check those out too. So let's head on over to the ye old XSplit, and we'll hop onto the PS3. So PS2 games on the PSN today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Alrighty, here we are in XSplit land. Let's take a look and see what goodies we've got on the... Oh, it might help if I activate my controller here. There we go. Let's see what we've got in digital form for the PS2 collection, shall we? Let's... There we go. Alright, so as you can see, I have everything organized by platform here. So I got PS1 down here, PS2 up here, PS3 minis here, so just mini games. See, I don't have very many, and PS3 up here. We'll get to all of these folders eventually. For now, we're going to focus on the PlayStation 2. Now, to clarify, these are not upgraded or enhanced or altered versions of the PlayStation 2 games. Oh no, these are quite literally the exact same PlayStation 2 games you would get in physical form on disc, but I'm guessing each one has its own built-in software emulator to emulate the PS2. So in terms of how it plays, it's exactly the same as if you were playing it on a PS2. The only difference is you have the convenience of using your wireless controller with your PS3 and having them all here in handy-dandy digital form for quick and easy access. Also makes it much easier to stream these classic games on Twitch, because you don't need to hook up the old system and fiddle with all the settings and stuff to get it to deal with analog video and all that craziness. So you get as pure a stream as you possibly can of these great old games. So let's see which ones we've got here. So we're going to go right down to the bottom here first off. And where are we going? Here we go. Alright, so, first up, of course, I have the original Fatal Frame, which is a terrific survival horror game. One of my favorites, actually. I've played through the first one several times. I used to own this in physical form on the PS2, but alas, sold it many moons ago. It was one I just kind of picked up on a whim out of the bargain bins a while back. I did some MMC Retro, some Multimedia Chronicles Retro episodes about it a while ago, and then just this past Halloween I actually did a complete playthrough of the entire game with this version here. So you can check all of those out. Just search Fatal Frame on my videos and you'll find a ton of Fatal Frame videos. Yeah, so then next up we picked up Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly, which I have not played. I've only seen a couple of pre-release trailers back when it was originally coming out. So this one's supposed to be even scarier than the first one, so maybe we'll play this one this Halloween. Possibly. No promises, but we will play this on Twitch at some point. Then I got the original Red Faction, which is, you know, I've said a lot of good things about this over the years. It's easily one of my all-time favorite first-person shooters. Just great story, huge environments, massively lengthy campaign for an FPS, and it's just great stuff. I actually replay this about once a year, so it definitely made sense for me to have it in the more convenient digital form, because it just makes it that much easier to fire it up and play it again. I actually, shortly after getting it, I played it all the way through again. So, yeah, at some point I will do a Twitch session of this, and we'll go through the whole thing together. It's great. I mean, the graphics are definitely dated by today's standards, but holy crap, is it just a great game. Really good stuff. And then to round out the original Fatal Frame trilogy, I, of course, have Fatal Frame 3, The Tormented. So, yeah, so I know even less about this one. I don't think I've even seen any trailers about it, so Oh, excuse me. Whenever we get around to playing it, it will be going in completely cold. So, yeah, awesome. Definitely looking forward to it because, as I say, I love the first one. And then I mentioned this when I was doing the horror overview for the PS2 physical collection. I do actually have this one in physical form, the original Siren. I also have the remake on PS3, the PS3 remake Siren Blood Curse. So we may do some kind of Siren double bill at some point and play through the original and then the remake. So pretty cool stuff. I did play it a little bit when I first got it back in the day. Found the controls a bit clunky, so I didn't really stick with it. But I've heard it's worth sticking with it because it's actually quite good and quite scary. So, yeah, we'll probably give that a spin at some point. Definitely going to hang on to my physical one, though. It's something of a collector's item nowadays, so it's nice to have in the collection. And then, of course, I have, you can already see in the list there, I have all the Grand Theft Auto games that ever appeared on the PS2. Of course, Grand Theft Auto 3, which I talked about quite a bit in my Free Roamers episode of the PS2 overview. The one that changed everything, man. Great stuff. I don't think I've ever actually owned this in physical form. Possibly, no, I think I did briefly and then sold it. The only two I ever reacquired were Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which of course is my all-time favorite, and then Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Now, for a short time, this was not available on PSN. There was some kind of kerfuffle about a couple of the licensed songs in it or something, so Rockstar pulled it from all the online places, removed the songs in question, and then reposted them. And initially, apparently, it was kind of broken. They actually broke the game doing that, but as far as I'm aware, San Andreas is back on the PSN. I don't know if it's been censored like the other versions that were out there for a while, or if it's been just reinstated fully intact. Anyway, this is the fully intact version, same as what you would get on disc. Now, if you watch my Free Roamers video, you'll know that Vice City and San Andreas are the only two I have in physical form. I do also have the strategy guides for both of them. Just great, great games. Vice City still remains my all-time favorite Grand Theft Auto game. I just love that. All the 80s-ness, man. It's awesome. And then San Andreas. And then I always meant to pick these up on disc, but I just never got around to it. We got Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, which is kind of a prequel to Grand Theft Auto 3. And then we got Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, which is kind of a prequel to Vice City as well, actually. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. I like. I haven't played this one yet. I have played a bit of this one, and I'm liking it so far. As far as streaming Grand Theft Auto games, that's always a bit of a touchy subject, just because of the sheer volume of licensed music in it. So what I might end up doing is, I still want to really sit down and play Grand Theft Auto 5, so I might actually do that as a Twitch exclusive. Just because YouTube's a little more sticky about the licensed music than Twitch is. So I might do it just as a Twitch exclusive, so bear that in mind. It will be posted in permanent form on Twitch via the highlights whenever I get around to doing it, but don't expect to see it on YouTube because it's just would be more of a headache than it's worth. And then for the Castlevania collection, I got Castlevania Lament of Innocence. Now, I should mention, most of these games I picked up on flash sales, so I got a lot of them really cheap. Like all the Grand Theft Auto games, I don't think I paid more than $5 for. Most of these were $5. A couple of them I paid full price for, but full price, by the way, is $10, so still way cheaper than finding the originals in physical form. So if you just want to play the games, don't care too much about owning the packaging, then, you know, digital is a good way to go. Now, one of the big things I should mention, a lot of people I can already predict are going to be saying, hey, Sean, you always say you're all about physical media, but here you are with all these digital games. What gives? Well, here's the big difference. With movies and TV shows, it's a lot different. I just realized something. Is my title... My title is misaligned, isn't it? Let's, Zarenize. Hold on. What the hell is going on here? Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Zarenize. Uh-huh. Hold on. Can I, there we go. Refresh. Why won't it? Oh, you know what it is? You know what? I'm just going to, hold on. I'm just going to delete it. We'll redo that later. But, yeah, what happened was when I fired up XSplit, it made me do an update. Well, it asked if I wanted to do an update, but obviously you want to do the updates because more features and bug fixes and stuff. And I remember this happened the last time I did an XSplit update. Was it... For that same guy's been roaring around all night. It screwed up some of the text overlays, so sorry about that. Anyway, holy shit, just go away, you noisy motherfucker. So yeah, digital versus physical for games. A little bit different than digital versus physical for movies, because digital versus physical for movies, it's, I mean, partly about the packaging, obviously, because you get something nice you can display on your shelf, but also about the quality. That's a big one with movies. Like, digital streaming, even, you know, with a decent, even in high def, is nowhere near the same quality that you get with, say, a Blu-ray or a DVD, even in a lot of cases. It really is not the same quality. Much lower bit rates for streaming and such, and, you know, in high definition in particular, the quality really suffers as a result. So in that case, yes, I will absolutely always, you know, sing to the high heavens about the benefits of physical over digital. For some people, convenience is more important than quality, so they don't care. Digital's enough, and that's fine. If that's what works for you, that's what works for you. Doesn't work for me. Now, in terms of video games, it's completely different, because in terms of video games, there is no issue with bit rate or you know, video quality or anything like that. It's one-to-one. I mean, what you get in digital form is 100% exactly the same as what you get on disc. So in this case, with these PS2 games, this is exactly the same as if you had popped the disc in your PS3 and it could read PS2 discs, you know, which, you know, some early PS3s could, but sadly they didn't keep that feature. But this is a nice kind of, you know, alternate way of doing it. Because you're getting the full PS2 versions with the built-in PS2 emulator. It plays and feels and acts and looks and sounds exactly the same as if you had had it on disc. So that's the big difference for me with digital versus physical with regards to games, is because with games, there's no difference. It is exactly the same. It is one bit for bit identical to what you would get on disc. So that's why it's not as big a deal for me to have games in digital form, versus where it is a big deal for me to have movies, you know, in physical form versus digital form. All right, so carrying on. Hope that clarifies any potential confusion there. So then, of course, we have Manhunt, which I also have on disc, but again, got the digital version for convenience and whatnot. Twisted Metal Black, which was one of the first PS2 games I ever played, and the first Twisted Metal game I ever played, actually. I later went back and played the first couple of PS1 versions, of which I like the second one the best, I'd just like to say for the record. The Twisted Metal 2 World Tour, that's just such a fun game. But Twisted Metal Black is great, too. Really, really good stuff, some dark and twisted backstories to the characters and stuff like that. So just a really good, you know, chaotic, apocalyptic racing combat game. And of course, Katamari Damacy. Gotta love Katamari Damacy. I do have this on disc, but I would love to stream this at some point because it's just such a crazy, fun game. It's one that I enjoy coming back to again and again and again. I just love this game so much. One of the catchiest soundtracks ever done for a game. Gradius 5. Viewers of Multimedia Chronicles Retro will remember a while back I posted a full playthrough of Life Force on the NES. A playthrough that I had done back in like 1990. And Gradius, of course, Life Force, of course, was a spin-off of the Gradius games. So Gradius 5 or Gradius V here is, you know, just a next iteration of it. In fact, when I was playing this, I was really delighted to hear that a lot of the music in it is the same as Life Force, just like updated. So it's like a you know, modernized, beefier version of a lot of the familiar music from Life Force. So that was pretty cool. So if you like Life Force, if you like the other Gradius games, this is a pretty solid entry in the series. Just good old old-fashioned thumb-melting shooter action. Really, really good stuff. And then I talked about this in the very first PS2 overview video I did this year for the, which was all about the Star Wars games. So Star Wars Starfighter, I of course do have in physical form, but again, wanted to get the. They had a big Star Wars flash sale, so everything was like half price. I should mention some of these, like I think it was Manhunt, Twisted Metal Black, and Katamari Damacy. They had a sale where they had a bunch of games, PS1, PS2, and PS3 games, where you could get them for less than $1. So I got most of these three. Or no, these four, Castlevania, Manhunt, Twisted Metal Black, and Katamari Damacy, for about 80 cents a piece. Can't say no to that deal, man. Pretty good stuff. Gradius 5, I just bought it full price because I wanted it, because it's Gradius. Fine. And Star Wars. So the Star Wars games, I think they had going for about $5 each, and there was actually a pack you could get that had all the new Star Wars games that they'd added, so I just grabbed that. It was like $30 for... Was it even $30? It might have been like $20. I can't remember. It was stupidly cheap anyway, and got like 5 Star Wars games in it. So I got Star Wars Starfighter, or no, there was more than that. I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to the other Star Wars games when we get to the other platforms. So anyway, Star Wars Starfighter, awesome. Razor Revenge, I never owned this one in physical form, so now at least I have it in digital form. They don't have the first racer available as of this recording, unfortunately, but I'm sure that we'll get more Star Wars games creeping their way into the PS2 library at some point. There's still a few left to go. I mean, there's Jedi Starfighter, there's the original Star Wars Racer, there's Super Bombad Racing, there's the Clone Wars game that they did. So there's a bunch of PS2 games that they could put in there. Some of which I do have in physical form. Like I got Jedi Starfighter and Clone Wars in physical form, obviously. But it would be nice to have just, all of them right there. So, yeah, so Star Wars Racer Revenge is some more pod racing action. And then, of course, we've got Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, which, of course, I do have in physical form. I already talked about. And Bounty Hunter, which, as I've said on many occasions, is one of my all-time favorite Star Wars games. I just love this one so much. Really solid third-person action game, and I mean, how much fun is it to play as Jango Fett? I mean, come on, he's him and his son are two of the coolest badasses of the entire Star Wars saga. So, so this is great. I mean, a nice, really cool prequel story for Jango, and you get to do a lot of adventures. And it has the voice of I forget the actor's name, Tamura something. Anyway, the guy who plays Jango in the movies is the voice of Jango in the game as well, so that's a nice bit of consistency there. And then finally picked up Alter Echo recently. I remember seeing some trailers for this back when it originally came out. I think I may have played a demo for it. I honestly don't remember. But I remember seeing this one around a lot, and just never got around to picking it up or really exploring it much. So this was on sale. It was like $5, so like half price. And I thought, what the heck, let's check it out. Another PS2 game for the collection. And I gotta say, it's a pretty solid game. It's actually a lot of fun. I played through the first couple sort of areas of it, and yeah, it's really good. So we'll probably Twitch that one at some point. And there you go. So that is it for the PS2 digital collection. Oh, wait a minute. No, it isn't. No, it isn't, because there's a few in the PS3 section. Yes! There's a few PS2 games that actually did get high-def upgrades, but were not released on disc. They didn't release them in any kind of physical form or what have you. So let's take a quick look at those, shall we? Okay, so I'm just going to kind of cut around the list here because my PS3 list is stupidly massive. So, yeah, so first off, first but definitely not least, we have Beyond Good and Evil HD. So those of you who watched my PS2 overview, the original PS2 overview I did back in 2010 will remember I used to have the physical version of this, and I later sold it when I heard that it was getting a high-def upgrade. What I didn't know, however, was that it was only getting a high-def upgrade on the PSN. It wasn't actually going to be released on disc. So, oh well, I don't have the physical version anymore, but I do have the best-looking version ever released of the game. So this was also around the time that they were talking about doing a sequel. So there was a sequel in development. There were some teaser trailers released for it, and then it just kind of disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. So Oh well. Anyway, we may not be getting the sequel, but we do at least have a very nice high-def upgraded version of the original. So very, very cool indeed. And I should mention also, talked about my Sonic collection. This isn't strictly PS2, but I always lamented about Sonic CD not being included on the Sonic Mega collection. A lot of you said, well, it was on the Sonic Gems collection. Yeah, great. We didn't get the PS2 version of the Sonic Gems collection over here in North America. It was only released in Europe. Over on our side of the pond, Sonic Gems was only ever released on the GameCube. So, no Sonic CD for us, unless you had a GameCube, of course. However, fortunately, they released it on the PSN. So, yes, at long last, the quest for Sonic CD is over. It's not a high-def upgraded version or anything, other than the opening cinematic sequence has actually been remastered in high def, and it looks really, really nice. But yeah, just a great, great version of the game. It actually includes both the Japanese and North American music tracks, so you can actually select which one you want to play. And yeah, just a really cool deluxe edition of Sonic CD that if you're a fan of the game, and even if you have it in some other form, you might want to check this one out, because it's pretty nice. And speaking of upgraded Sonic, again, not a PS2 game, this was a Dreamcast game. They've actually done high-def upgraded versions of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Yes, I don't have the second one yet, but I do have the first one. Rosie really enjoys this game a lot and plays it quite a bit. Yeah, so Sonic Adventure, one that I'd seen around. I remember playing a bit of it in a store demo on a Dreamcast, but just never got a Dreamcast, so was never able to play it. Until now, thanks to the PSN library. So yeah, so we've got Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. So at last, anybody who doesn't own a good Dreamcast, a good Dreamcast? Yes, a Dreamcast can actually play it, which is pretty cool. Next up. Oh, this one's loud. Hold on. There we go. I'll just, hold on, mute it on my end. There we go. We got Space Channel 5 Part 2, which is basically a rhythm game. This one I did play a demo of on the PS2 back in the day, and I always really liked it. But, hold on a second. Testing. Yeah, okay, just making sure that the sound wasn't coming through. I always really liked it. I'm not usually a big fan of the rhythm games, but this one I liked because it just had sort of a cheesy charm to it, and the characters in it are a lot of fun and it's all very tongue-in-cheek. The music is fantastic in this game. I mean, it really, I mentioned, I think a while ago, that it has kind of the feel of like a Quentin Tarantino movie. So picture like Quentin Tarantino mixed with J-pop and bubblegum anime, you know? It's just really a strange animal. And you might see in the background there Michael Jackson. This guy right here looks a lot like Michael Jackson. Yes, well that's Space Michael. You have to rescue him and get his help in a few levels there, and he's actually voiced by Michael Jackson. How cool is that? Yes, the great one himself. All right, so carrying on. Ah, yes. Well, as you recall, if you watched the third-person platforming section overview, or the PS2 games in HD on the PS3 overview, you'll know that I have the Ratchet and Clank trilogy in high def and on the PS3. However, the PS3 version was curiously missing this one, which is the fourth game in the series, but thankfully it was available in downloadable form at the very least on the PSN. So here we have Ratchet Deadlocked, which is the all-arena combat one. It is the fourth sort of, I don't know, call it kind of a side chapter in the story. It is part of the continuity, but lovingly upgraded to high def, and it looks fantastic. So was really happy to get that. So now I've got the original 4 games in high def as well as on disc. Now if only we could get Secret Agent Clank, and I think there's another Ratchet one as well from the PSP. It would be great to get those in some kind of PS3 playable version as well. Of course, now with all the focus on the PS4, I don't know how likely that is. may just be a lost cause by this point. But hey, at least I got Secret Agent Clank on the PS2. Thank you very much, Jedzia. Really appreciate it. So yeah, so all is not lost, just can't play it on the PS3. Now this is kind of interesting. It looks like I have the digital version of Killzone, but I actually don't. This is from the disc. So I guess it's the same. You can download this on PSN. It is available on its own if you already have the other two Killzones. But this is actually installed from the Killzone Trilogy disc. This is, of course, the high-def upgraded version of the original Killzone. And I'm in the middle of doing a playthrough of that on Twitch, so we should be getting back to that soon. And this music's getting really loud! So we'll just go to something quieter. This is kind of an honorable mention. This isn't actually technically a PS2 game, but this is the original Prince of Persia. Yes, the one that predates the PS2 ones that were so popular. This is where it all came from, the original Prince of Persia. The only difference is this one has high-def upgraded graphics, but in terms of the gameplay, it's exactly the same as the original. Basically, platforming hell. Like, it is a really difficult, really challenging platformer slash puzzler, and yeah, it really challenges you, and you have to do the whole thing in 60 minutes. There's a time limit on it, so you need to really bear down and figure out, you know, the optimal path to go through everything and get your combats. There's some combat in it as well, like some swordplay and stuff. But yeah, I had the original Prince of Persia on the Amiga, and I actually really liked it, and was overjoyed when I saw that they'd re-released it in updated form on the PSN. So pretty cool stuff indeed. And then last, but absolutely not least, we have Okami, or Okami, however you want to pronounce it. It's pronounced a couple, like, both ways in the game, so who really knows? This one, basically, you play the you play a spirit wolf with supernatural abilities. You have the ability to wield this magic paintbrush that you can use to, say, for example, you come to a broken bridge and you need to get to the other side of the bridge. You can use your paintbrush power to paint in the rest of the bridge, and then you can cross it and things like that. And you can use like a slash of the paintbrush to attack enemies, and it's a really clever, really unique kind of adventure game. I really like it a lot. Rosie's been playing it quite a bit. She really, really enjoys it, and I thought she would, because she's got artistic tendencies as well, and she's drawing all the time. So I thought she would enjoy this. Because, you know, it's got this cool dog character, it's got, you know, funny supporting characters, and the primary weapon is a paintbrush, so how cool is that? So, yeah, so check that one out. Again, I believe it's only available in downloadable form, so get it on PSN and enjoy. I should mention also, this is compatible with the PlayStation Move controller, which, you know, if ever there was a game that was custom designed to be upgraded to use the Move controller, it's Okami. Definitely. It's very well suited to it. I mean, you have the controller in your hand, use that as the paintbrush, you know, I mean, how cool is that? So check that one out. I definitely recommend Okami to anybody who's looking for just a good, solid adventure game, but wants something a little bit different. The art style in it as well is just freaking beautiful. It's like one of those ancient Japanese paintings. You know, well, you can see just the art style there. The whole game is in this kind of art style, and the world that it takes place in is this beautiful cel-shaded rendition of this type of art style, and it's really quite beautiful to look at. I remember even though when the PS2 version came out, I was quite struck by just the visual design of it, and always meant to pick it up. I think Aneta might have picked it up briefly for the PS2. As I recall, I don't really remember, or we may have just seen a demo and meant to pick it up for the longest time. Anyway, definitely worth checking out if you like adventure, you like something a little different. I just can't say enough good things about Okami. So there you go, quite a cool collection of stuff from the PSN. Yeah, I love the fact that they've done that, where they basically just re-released these classic PS2 games. I mean, it'd be great to see them in high def, obviously, but at the very least, it gives us PS3 owners a much more convenient way to play some of our old favorites. And as you see there, I mean, I've I've repurchased quite a few that I actually own on PS2, simply for the convenience of being able to play it on the PS3 with the wireless controller, being able to stream them on Twitch a lot more easily, such as I did with Fatal Frame last Halloween, and all that good stuff. Alrighty, just before we go, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of my Patreon sponsors. Thanks, Patreon sponsors. You guys and gals are awesome. Special extra big thanks to my 2 current highest level sponsors, namely Kyle Pellegrini and Get Your Gorgeous On, which is an awesome e-mag written and maintained by the equally awesome duo of Michelle O'Toole and Simon Hedger. So check that out when you get a chance. And big thanks to everyone else as well. Your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. It all goes right back into the show here in the form of equipment upgrades, new games, either in physical form or in PSN form. Which just means more cool stuff I can play on Twitch, and you can watch me failing dismally at and laughing at me. It's all good stuff. So please do consider becoming a Patreon sponsor, because every little bit helps. No amount is too big, no amount is too small. Alrighty, that is it from me to you for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara.